Welcome to yet another session in history. This is history's lesson number 4. The name is Tribals, Dikus and the Vision of Golden Age. This is the part 1 of the lesson. In this part, you're going to learn about the life of tribals, their occupations, their beliefs. Though the first part covers only about the life, you're going to witness some of the most important tribal societies which lived in our country. In 1895, a man named Birsa was seen roaming the forests and villages of Chota Nagpur in Bihar. People said he had miraculous powers. He could cure all diseases and multiply grain. Birsa himself declared that God had appointed him to save his people from trouble, free from the slavery of Dikus. Here, Dikus means those people who did not belong to the tribal group. So any person like a moneylender or a Christian missionary or the company officials, whoever came from the outside part of the tribal community, they were called as Dikus. Soon thousands began to follow Birsa. Birsa was born in a family of Mundas, a tribal group that lived in Chota Nagpur. But his followers included other tribals of the region of Santals and Oraons in Jharkhand. All of them in different ways were very unhappy under the British rule because they found that their familiar ways of occupation, livelihood and religious practices were under danger. Britishers were forcing them to adopt new policies which were entirely different from what they have been following from their early childhood. Now, a question: how did the tribal groups live? Before the arrival of Britishers, tribal groups lived in different parts of hilly areas, forests, and mountains. They have their own culture, own language. They never like to be interfered by the others. Our next question is: what were the major occupation of the tribal groups? So, the major occupation of the tribal groups were: some tribal groups practiced jhum cultivation, which is also known as shifting cultivation. Some were hunters and gatherers. Some of them did odd jobs, that is, unusual or different jobs in the villages, like carrying loads or building roads, while others worked in the field of peasants or farmers. Some were herders, that is, some people reared animals. They kept animals and increased the supply of animals to other people. But amongst these tribal groups, there were certain tribal groups which were not ready to work for others. These were the Baigas of central India. They believed that the forest is the place which is provided to them by God, and they should live only on the produce of the forest. That is, whatever the forest gives, they should use those forest products alone, and they should cultivate or gather whatever the forest provides them. It was below their dignity to become a laborer. What is jhum cultivation? Jhum cultivation is also known as shifting cultivation. This was done on small pieces of land which was mostly in forests. The cultivators would cut the tree tops to allow sunlight to reach the ground, and then they would burn the vegetation on the land to clear the land. They would spread the ash, which contained potash, to fertilize the soil. They used the axes to cut trees and the hoe to scratch the soil in order to prepare it for cultivation. They would not sow the seeds in the field. Rather, they would scatter the seeds on the field. Once the crop was harvested, they moved to another field. A field that had been cultivated once was left for several years. Shifting cultivators lived in the hilly and forested areas of northeast and central India. The next job of some tribal groups was that of hunting and gathering. They lived by hunting animals and gathering forest produce. The Konds of Orissa were such a community. They regularly went on collective hunts and then divided the meat amongst themselves. They ate fruits and roots. They cooked food with the oil from the seeds of sal and mahua. They used many forest shrubs and herbs for medicinal purpose and often sold forest produce in the local markets. The local weavers and leather workers, they depended upon the Kond community so that they can get supplies of palash flowers. Now these flowers also were very good in producing a dye for the clothes. Whenever a tribal community found that they are getting shortage of supplies in forests, then these tribal people would increasingly wander, that is move from one place to another in search of work. They would work as laborers carrying loads or building roads, and they would also work as laborers in the fields of peasants and farmers. So whatever was not produced by them, they would buy these things from traders or money lenders, and to get those things from traders or money lenders, they would follow a system which was known as the barter system. Now barter system was a system under which the traders and the tribal people, they will exchange goods. Sometimes these money lenders would give loans with which the tribals would meet their cash needs, adding to what they earned. But the interest charged on the loans was usually very high, which is why the life of tribal people was full of debt and poverty. Here, the word poverty means the state of being extremely poor. Tribals were also very good herders. Now, who's a herder? A herder is a person who looks after a herd, cattle or livestock, and makes a living, that is, earns by keeping livestock, especially in hilly areas. They were pastoralists, that is, people who will keep herds of cattle or sheep, and these people would move according to the seasons from place to place. When the grass in one place was exhausted or comes to an end, they move to another area. The example of such tribal people are the Van Gujars of Punjab, the Labadis of Andhra Pradesh, the Gaddis of Kullu, and the Bakrawals of Kashmir reared goats. Apart from the Jhum cultivators, there were some tribals who took to settled cultivation. They had stopped living a nomadic life and they had started cultivating their fields in one place year after year instead of moving from place to place. They began to use the plough and gradually got rights over the land they lived on. Like the Mundas of Chota Nagpur, the land belonged to the clan as a whole. Now, clan is a word to show a community. Mundas were such community of people who took to settled cultivation. So the people who had first come into that area and who had cleared the land for cultivation, and they were living in that particular land from centuries, so that land belonged to these community members. But here also, only the most powerful man became chief and others followed him. Powerful men often rented their land instead of cultivating it themselves. British officials found that some tribal groups like the Gonds and the Santals are much more civilized than the hunter-gatherers or shifting cultivators. How did colonial rule affect tribal lives? The lives of tribal groups changed during the British rule. Before the arrival of the British, the tribal chiefs were the most important people of a tribe. The tribal chief enjoyed lot of economic power and had the right to control his territories. In short, the tribal chief was the king of the tribe, whose authority was mandatory, compulsorily followed by all the other members in the tribal community. With this, I conclude the part 1 of the lesson Tribals, Dicus and the Vision of the Golden